master step.
All right, we're back. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take some questions from the audience because we want to hear your critique on what's going on in the community, solutions, and we want to be solution-oriented. That's one of the things when, we can have this discussion, this back and forth, but at the end of the day, what needs to come out of it is tangible solutions to be able to move our community forward. So,
okay. Hello. Is there anyone with the question? Most of the crowd is on this side of the room, so I'm just talking over here. Does anybody have a question or comment for the panel?
I was just gonna. My question. You already said that they're gonna talk about it after.
Your question was, are we going to get to talking about gun violence?
Right now.
That's
Okay,
you brought that up.
Right
That's what I'm saying. That's what I came here for.
Right now. Tim,
all this
since
other
it's
stuff.
a topic that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. There's a. Hey, go ahead, brother.
So just before you talk, my name is Daryl Gillespie, and I pastor Proverbs Christian Fellowship.
Heard about you.
And,
Nice
and,
things
and,
about
and
you.
let me say, I love to see black men having a lively conversation because I think you all represent me, and all four of you all in some way, form, or fashion. But it would be remiss of me if I didn't support. Say Lacey Johnson did come to the black community because he's been to my church, which is located 500 Newton Avenue North. He's been there twice. And he not only did he talk, but he stayed for the whole service both times. And I say that because I invite all politicians to come, and usually they speak and leave. But I think the fact that he stayed, to me, spoke volumes about his commitment to not just wanting to get a vote, but also to be part of a service that sticks to his one of his points of spirituality and understanding what that really means. So I needed to say that.
Absolutely.
I
I feel you, but I think that it's his job to campaign for votes. And what has to happen is you have to meet the people where they are.
Absolutely.
And I don't, there's no sense of making excuses for, I haven't seen him, bro. I'm out every single day in this community. Every day, weekend, we got him downtown. Extremely active in the community. Where he's talking about building businesses, you don't have to be seen. I'm places where I'm not seen. I know other folks in this community, they haven't seen him. They haven't seen any Republican, not just Lacey, any Republican. So it's incumbent upon Republicans to come to our community and build a relationship with us. If they're talking about the 40 years that the Democrats have had a hold on this community, then it's up to them to come out to us and change our minds to turn Republican, to find common ground in some of the ideas that they bring about. But guess what? You don't see them till September, October of an election year, period.
Yeah, and I would agree. Well, let me just briefly comment. So I would agree with Jamar. We need to see the Democrats as well, because they only come around when it's time for votes. Well, they're around, but their policies aren't beneficial. And this gets back to our comments, to the comments about the black man.
Right.
Well, if you look at the policies of the Democratic Party, they're not beneficial for African Americans and not beneficial for the African American family, let alone everyone else. And so you can look at those policies, whether it's supporting now transgenderism, which most people think it's a mental illness, focusing on that, and now forcing people to call people, he's that are she's and she's that he. This is insanity, and this does not benefit the black community, especially with the rates of divorce, rates of non-marriage, and kids out of wedlock, which didn't come from slavery. People like to blame things on slavery. We are actually coming out of slavery. We were putting our families back together. People walked hundreds of miles to find lost brothers and sisters and parents and put that family back together again. And we actually had higher marriage rates and intact families than even some white communities in America. But it was in the 60s when things started to go down south with LBJ, even though some good things happened for the community, where, LBJ, a well-known racist, member of the Klan, he was hated by everyone, really, the way that he would treat people, both black and white. But you notice, under him, we got the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. So people talk about Trump's a racist. Okay, let's say that's true. I don't believe that.
It is.
But then that's still the standard. We can still get things to benefit our community. We need to go and advocate for our community and talk to these politicians, whoever is in power. It doesn't matter whether they're Democrat or Republican. You need to have a community agenda to move forward that's going to benefit you, because with rich people, they don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. They fund both sides because they want action to be done to keep their agenda going. And so we need to have the same mindset. But in terms of the black man, the black woman, the Democratic policies, abortion, well, you know why a lot of black women can't find black men to marry is because they've been killed. It's not just jail. That jail is part of it, but a lot of them is because they've been killed. Because most of the
You're right.
abortions,
We were killed
almost
by
60 million,
Jim Crow laws.
60
Yeah,
million
that's what- yeah.
black children have not been born. Out of that number, about a third or more of that are black babies. So that's your largest population, and that's why we're still at 13-14% of the population and not growing, because we're killing our own community. But the Democrats, they're like championing that. They're even saying that it's unchristian to be against that, which is just turning upside down traditional Christian values that have not only benefited our community but benefit the world. You can actually look and see how Christianity in Europe and Africa and Asia, places that that came under those Abrahamic faiths, how they benefited and excelled. So to answer your question, towards that shows how the Republican ideas and the values that the Republican Party holds is more beneficial than the Democrats.
The pastor has a follow-up question, but I want Lacey to comment. If you have a comment.
I want to comment on a couple of things. The Trump is a racist in the community, out in the community. As far as Trump is a racist, look, when you apply for a job, they ask people who know you for references. They don't ask strangers or people don't like it. And where I'm going with this is that just about every black person I know that personally knew Donald Trump not only said he was not a racist, they actually liked the guy. So every one of them. So I'm not listening to CNN and MSNBC what they're saying, because I know they hate him. But you talk to just about every one of them, whether it's Bob Johnson, who started BET, whether it's Russell Simmons, who started the hip-hop music company, Herschel Walker, Don King, Mike Tyson, you go down the line, Ben Carson. These are people who knew the man personally. And it's interesting that you only become racist once you get into politics. For the first 65 years of his life, the same people that's calling him a racist was hanging out with him. And just like they call him racist, remember they called Joe Biden racist? They called Nancy Pelosi racist. That's all part of politics. And so we should understand that. So that's my thing. I listen to the people that know it. Second thing, as far as being out in the community. First of all, you have to understand, I'm an engineer and I'm a chess player. And we plan before we just go out there and start doing stuff. And so we're setting the table right now for anyone to think that I'm not going out in the black community, the community that I live in. The community where I just know some people right now, young men that got in trouble and stuff that I care about. These are people I care about. And let me just say this. I wouldn't be out here if I didn't care about this community. That's the only reason I'm out here, basically. Because I care about people in the community. And so to even assume that I would try to run for Congressional District 5 and not get out in the community, and knowing my background. Like you said, I went in just about every black church, went everywhere. And whenever I go into Cub Foods, I stop at the gas station. I'm campaigning and politicking right there and telling people about what we're going to be doing, the issues in our community. So I'm not going against anybody's timeline. Yeah, I know there's people who like to just go out there and start doing stuff and being seen. That is not my personality. I want to plan. I want to be successful when I do it. And I guarantee you're going to see me out there. And we're going to have a strategy and a plan. We're going to have a message, and you're going to see it. So to go by his timeline, I'm not thinking about anyone else's timeline but mine. I'm done. Thank you.
So this may not be an appropriate question, because I don't know for you podcast moderators. My question is, as I still look at black men and I think about what Mr. Johnson is talking about, and Pastor Christopher as well. I can't see y'all name, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Lawrence. Okay. My question to you all is, would you all support Lacey Johnson as a candidate? And if so, why or why not? I don't know if y'all allowed to answer that. And the reason I say that is because if we are going to support black folks, if we're going to support black folks, and it doesn't matter what party, we want to get the best person for the job, I think it's you all that have, me as well, that have platforms that can help the candidates spread a message of good news if we support them. So I guess hopefully that's an appropriate question. If not,
One second, because I never got to touch on your first question that you were saying. So, number one, you heard the normal talking points that we usually get from Republicans, you know, with the abortion and all this here, the Johnson Act and all that there type of stuff. So I don't need to repeat that for you. We hear that enough. Number two, Mr. Lace and I just sat here and said we was going to get together and we were going to talk. I met Mr. Johnson Lace one time, right? At the whatchamacallit, you know, had a good, right? And we had a good conversation then. Now, there's no disrespect. Man, do not sit there and think that I have any type of disrespect. Anyone that's going to get out there and run, put his name out there, I've got to give him some respect, you know? Now, has he been to my church? No. Okay, but we're going to talk about that because I'm getting him to my church on that. So I want to say that we're here as black men trying to come up with some type of solution or just open somebody's mind. So if things get a little heated, you know, hey, that's just what we do, right? I mean, and what I'm saying is, I want everybody up here to say that you know, there's no disrespect. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. So I don't want to leave here with somebody going, you know, that Christopher dude, man, I don't. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But we have to come together as black men first, right? And we've got to get this thing together, and we've got to get it right. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're this or whether you're that. Now, as far as this Donald Trump racist thing, everybody throwing out there, this is what I'm going to say to you this way. When he apologizes for the Central Park 5, when he apologized for that, I won't say that what you all are saying up here anymore.
That's right.
That's my only thing with him. Now, the things that he was saying, the things that he says, racist people like.
That's right.
Watch this.
Go back to
I've got two sets of Mexican people in my family. My brother is married to a Mexican woman we have Mexican kids. My wife's brother is married to a Mexican woman. He has Mexican kids. When I talk to them, the things that he says about Mexican people hurts them. Sorry. Yeah, now you can spin that any way you want. But I'm telling you how they feel. Now we can sit here and go, oh, what he says is all right. He could say that. He can call them rapists and all this, and you can spin it any way you want to. But what I'm telling you is what they say. I don't care what you say. I care about what they say.
But see, that gets to that. It's all about people's feelings and not the facts. Where Donald Trump has never said anything about the totality of Mexican people or black people or anything like that. He has not done that. What he said, especially about illegal immigration,
us
which we should
rapists.
Well, that's true.
That's what he said.
Mexico is.
That's what he said.
Cuba
Come on,
did it
man.
too.
Exactly. We got to be better than that. We've got to be better. Look. We've got to be better than that.
Hold on. Let me speak. So the thing about Donald Trump, he's an economic nationalist, and part of this economic nationalism,
I'm not trying to get him to think different. I'm just trying to get him to stop thinking racist.
Worker, and illegal immigration negatively impacts the black community. So it's really this is why I'm so upset.
No, he's right on that.
I'm so
upset. I'm going to show you why. No, I'm going to show you why, because I'm from down south.
Well, I'm from down south too.
So
plant. Hold on, just a moment. If you look at that,
that's where you're going. I know where you're going.
In Mississippi,
right here. This is because my uncle's.
But I knew with it being in Mississippi that's going to be a high population of African Americans and also poor whites. Well, guess what? Now that they raided that plant, they're doing job fairs, and guess the people who they're hiring?
That's
blacks
right.
and poor whites.
Yep.
That's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to get back manufacturing, build up the American worker. That's why he's going to win the state of Minnesota, because he's going to open up the drilling and mining up there in that Superior area. That's what's going to help, because people across this country, because of Obama and his policies, has negatively impacted manufacturing and workers, and that's why
manufacturers was going out of here before Obama. So don't do that, man. Come on, man. See, this is what I'm talking about right there. You was doing great, brother. You was doing great, and then you had to throw it away like that. I was even agreeing with you, bro.
gotta move on to the next question.
Bro, but then here we go with the Obama stuff. Reagan opened the door to let these.
It's both sides. It's
but
both
it's
sides.
but no.
Obama
But you
was a
said
part of that
I
because
didn't understand that.
they wanted change. Remember those
Come on,
same people voted for Trump
come
in
on,
those
brother.
areas
Go back
voted for
to
Obama.
where you was at,
Remember they
because I was
voted for
agreeing
Obama.
with you,
They
man.
voted for Obama.
Let's go to
agreeing
the
with you,
next
man.
question. Let's go to the next question.
Jeez, man, can't y'all just? I mean, you're doing good, and then you have to run off the road like that.
We'll talk more about Obama because Obama,
Please,
he was
please,
terrible for black people.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
testing,
right.
testing.
And because this guy's
He
great
did
for-
nothing for our
Can
community.
you
like
hear
this
me?
guy's doing.
Oh, okay. Next, yes.
Yeah, you just gotta speak.
Yeah, just speak.
Just go ahead and
Just speak.
speak into it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, there's no
Yes,
speakers in here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, my question is, and my name is Betty Johnson. Lacey is my husband there. So, I have a little stake in this. So, my question is, now, you guys are sitting there, you're arguing about racism, Mexican, Somalis, immigrants, and whatever, you're arguing about. Now, I see, there are a lot of immigrants that's come into this country, and to me, they seem to be thriving in their businesses, in their lives, and whatever else they're doing. And our community, blacks here in our community, and as Lacey said before, we live in the community, so we see everything that's going on in this community every day. And to Jamar, I like Jamar, little Jamar, I call him. I like him, and I guess to say that Lacey's not out there in the community, we are every day. You don't have to be a politician to be out in the community. So, but, we are. I'm out there myself, and I'm not a politician.
I see you more than I see him, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I only see you once in a lifetime, I guess, but I don't see you that often.
You walk with your eyes closed then, 'cause I'm on Broadway
my
every
question is, I'm not going to argue because I'm not a politician, but my question is, why is it that every, as I say, other group that, even immigrants that comes here, that they can thrive and have businesses and whatever they are doing, when we as a black community are still in a position where we don't have anything, and we're still struggling. I'm in a position where I see, people every day, black people every day, and a lot of, as I say, black male, they are not in the home. There's a lot of mental illness in our community. That's one of the reasons that they're not in the homes, So why is it that other, let's just say, groups having such a, as I say, explosion of businesses or whatever, and we're not?
Great question. I'm
me
looking
say
forward to
this.
the answer for this.
Number one, to briefly address that again, just because a black male isn't in the home doesn't mean he's not providing and a part of a child's life. So we gotta quit that myth. That's just a myth. And let's remember too, when my dad is 73 years old, when his mom was on welfare, the county, the state made sure that their black man couldn't be in the home to receive welfare. So there are laws that are enacted that keep black men out. There are laws that
Who made the laws, though?
Republicans. Let's be honest. These were laws that were enacted under Republicans. Let's be real. So let's go back to this. You're absolutely right that those people come over here, foreigners come over here, and get businesses and do thrive better than us. Anybody would be lying to say different. But I hear Republicans say that because they want to lay that at the feet of Democrats. I'll say it again. Let me finish now. We had a Republican governor. Minority businesses under that Republican governor, they went down.
Yes,
when you
they
talk
did.
about black folks, let's be specific. Black ownerships on the Pawlenty went down. Minority, as far as foreign minorities, went up. So we've got to sit down and have honest dialogue about it, both sides. It isn't Democrats saying, but you do hear a lot of Democrats because we care. We believe in real freedom. We believe that you should come over and have a chance at a good life like we do, all right? But not, I'm sorry?
But come legally.
Come legally, absolutely. Come legally. But I believe, though, that we have to sit down and have dialogue, with both sides, listening to solutions on how we can combat that. I don't hear that from Republicans. I hear the blaming. That's what I hear from Republicans.
Somebody else?
Yeah, real quick. What we got to do is we have to come together as a people. Yeah. Now, brother, I'm going to have to kind of disagree with you on something, because it was the Democratic policies that kept the black man out of the home. Did Republicans come in there and help in that? But the welfare, what they was giving these black women to say this man can't come in here, brother, I have to let you know that a large part of that was the Democratic policies that did this, and they kind of keep doing it over and over and over.
Remember
but
Julia,
watch this here.
Diana
But watch
Carroll?
this here.
Wrong, but go ahead.
What we need to do is we need to start pooling our monies together. The problem is,
Where you gonna get the capital?
we can't. Hold on one. Problem is, we can't come together long enough to do that. Now, I wanted to. My credit is good enough that I should be able to watch this. I should be able to walk into a bank and get a loan. I mean, I'm not joking when I say that. There was a store on the corner of Lindell and Lowry there that I want to get that store and open that store. They wouldn't give me a loan. You understand what I'm saying?
Who wouldn't give you a loan?
The bank.
Why?
Okay. You know why?
Oh.
Now, we can sit here and we can debate
Oh,
that. We can sit here and debate that.
Okay.
I can get loan. I can get loan to send my kid to college.
Okay.
The $100,000, send him there.
But a business in your community.
But a business in my community.
Could get
you
that,
understand what you see where I'm going with this?
Oh no.
So it is hard for some of us to get capital.
That's right.
To make moves.
That's right.
The reason I'm where I'm at today is because I bought a house. Our house, the house we bought and we sold, bounced us to a plateau. We need to start buying land and then selling that land and then moving. That's what my wife and I did. That's why we're in the situation we're in right now.
Why can't everybody else be?
Because a lot of banks will not. They will not do. I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Right now, I can tell you.
Just very quickly. Look, let me answer my wife's question.
The banks won't do that because of the red line.
Let me answer a question. Look, people, and one of the reasons I'm out here too, it's our mindset.
Oh.
It's our mindset. Yeah, we think we're in a country where who's governor is going to determine our success in life, whether some type of government policy is going to determine whether or not we take care of our kids. That kind of mindset is what's bothering us. Now, I started business, and you know what? I don't care who's in the White House. I don't care how tough it is to find business. I'm going to overcome it. I'm not used to making excuses. That you'll never hear me explain why I didn't get something done. And I'm tired of us explaining why we ain't getting things done. Now, if you think about it, I'm going to go back to this government policy thing. Let me tell you, and God knows I'm telling the truth, there's no government policy in this world it's going to make me leave my home, leave the mother of my children, and not take care of them. You know, and let me say this. Life is tough. When you go into business, it's tough. In my attitude, and I've been in business. I've been in these banks and I've asked for money. I've dealt with loans. I've got to deal with it. Factoring companies. No, you just got to be tough.
You didn't partner with anybody?
No, I didn't partner with. I had friends. I mean, we work together.
Right.
You don't do nothing by yourself in this world, by the way. You don't do nothing by yourself in this world.
Right.
All these, see, I can talk from experience. All these excuses about you can't find the money.
I can talk from experience.
Well, you went in with a different mindset than I did. Because none of that.
He went in as a black man who got turned down because of the redlining that they do in these communities that we know that happens. That you and other Republicans like to gloss over and say, call it an excuse.
I'm saying
it's the truth.
I'm saying the only difference one of the main difference between me and this brother is that when I
deal with the real and you don't. That's the difference. You're right.
I built the business.
Oh, right.
Have you
with capital from different, with your friends though, right?
No, you go out into the. Look, it's like, look, what they forget, look, the main color is green. And if you walk into a banker and you show him how he can make money and you both can make money, they're gonna decide they don't care what color you are. And just like anything else, you might not succeed the first time. And like my pastor was saying the other day, when he hear no, he's thinking they just mean not yet. And that's the way I look at no. I don't stop. No does not stop me. You gotta be tenacious in life. You can't make excuses for not succeeding. You just have to work hard. There is nothing that's stopping us from being businessmen. And people, listen to the logic of what they're saying. There are racist people here, but yet and still, people could come here from Somalia and succeed. People could come here from Mexico and succeed. But the racism is stopping us, but not them. I'm saying to you, the difference is they're coming here with a mindset, I'm in America. I can get anything done I want to. It may not be fair, it may not be whatever, but I'm gonna kick butt and make this happen. And I'm saying if we get that, and I'm speaking from experience, the racism has never stopped me from achieving anything I wanted to do. Not that it hasn't been there, but it's just like having a flat tire, flat car to me. It's just another obstacle in the way of me getting to my goal. And once I make it up in my mind, I'm gonna get to this goal, there's nothing gonna stop me, and I ain't gonna use no excuse policy, who's in the governor's office, all that stuff. None of that has anything to do with it. That's my position.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I do. So to answer your question, this is why Trump has focused on illegal immigration, because, like I said, his focus has been economic nationalism and where citizenship has value. And that's why illegal immigration is so bad, not only because it disproportionately impacts the black community, because of our wealth position, because, you know, our wealth position compared to the white community is a lot less. The middle black family, $1,500. Where the middle white family is $150,000. And there's a number of reasons for that, but that's not what's, you know, germane at this point. But you look at illegal immigrants, you're talking about going to banks and getting loans. Well, you know, Bank of America, they've been giving loans to illegal aliens. And so they get a leg up. So why a lot of these groups that come here and they're doing better than native blacks that we've been here, the ones that went through slavery, the descendants of enslaved people, the reason why other communities have a leg up and we don't is because they are given preferences. And that is true, even in college admissions, because blacks that have been going there have been complaining about the Africans that have been coming, you know, in there, because those schools, and Dr. Sandy Darity, who's an economist at Duke University, he mentioned he's talked with admissions counselors, and they said that they actually give preferences to Africans. Now, true, they have good test scores, they have a culture of study and a culture of work, which is important, which we used to have. That was part of our community, our black excellence. That's important. But they're giving a leg up because they said they're less likely to be politically active and involved. They're more docile. And so they're given a preference. And so when you look and you sing the first black this, the first black that, when you notice people that are opening up businesses and do it, notice that they're not blacks that have been here generationally. Typically they're immigrants, or they're immigrants from Africa or from the Caribbean. So just notice that when you see these things being promoted. And so that's one of the reasons. Also, if you look at hair care, where in our black community, black women, they used to own that back before the 60s, but because of our economic policies that we had with China and with Asia, where we wanted to have better relations with that, they were able to use that, the Asian communities were able to use that as leverage, and that's how they were able to take over, you know, the hair care, where in terms of black women and their hair care, they should own that. That should be owned by black women. But it's not. But you have to look at manufacturing, distribution. See, we don't have an outside country like immigrants do. See, they can come here, make first world dollars, and then send them back to these third world countries. That's what they're doing. So a lot of that is a drain on our economy as African Americans. We have nowhere to send money back to. This is our homeland. This is our country. Our ancestors helped build this. And so that's why you see a lot of that. That's why they're able to advance. They live 3, 4, 5, 6 to a home when they first get here. They pool their resources. We used to do that. That's why after slavery, we were like gangbusters. We were using this free market system. We were building, we were builders, we were getting wealthy, but we didn't have the protection of the state. And so that's why white mobs could come and burn and destroy that. Black Wall Street is an example, Wilmington, North Carolina, a lot of other places. That's why we weren't able to advance in the same way where whites, they had their affirmative action. White affirmative action, the Homestead Act. They had those land colleges. Then you have the GI Bill, which blacks, we were not able to participate in that. So all the wealth creating opportunities in American history, we were because of legal segregation, Jim Crow. We were not able to benefit. And that has a triple down generational impact. Because whites, well, no, it's not, no, I'm just telling you that's the facts of where things are. But today, now that we have the protection of the state, and now that we have advantages, we are still crippled in many ways because of the mindset we have. So what I'm saying is, I'm actually agreeing with everyone. I'm just tying it all together, the policies together. Everybody has said something that is correct. But I'm telling you, that's why government policy is important. Policy and politics works together. Absolutely. It's not just, the free market in and of itself and being independent, not worrying about, no, you need good policy, because if you have bad policy, that impacts the community. That's what's been going on with the black community. Okay. So they both work together.
Well, and that's why it's important that we get out here and make sure that we make our black community understand how important it is to vote that down ballot.
Yes.
That's what the problem is. We don't understand how important it is to vote the down ballot. Forget about the president.
That's right.
Vice president.
That has little impact.
Little impact. It's the judges that they're putting there, right? It's the people who counsel that they're doing. That's what we need to do. Right. And if we can get our mindset in this, like, I agree with what Lacey said. If we get our mindset right, then we can start making some headway. But as long as we still out here killing and shooting each other.
Okay.
You get your mindset together. The way you get your mindset together is by having a productive way of dealing with combating violence, and it's government. Both sides, Republican and Democrats, are glossing over because it doesn't affect them until it hits home. Meanwhile, we're dealing with this, and when you think about how Republicans will say that there's no laws that are on the books that would combat gun violence. And then you have, and unfortunately, you have crazy Democrats.
No. Democrats say there's no. When it comes to no. Democrats said there are no.
No, we're trying to enact laws. Republicans say that there are laws on the book that wouldn't prevent anything.
I can show you.
The last shooter didn't pass a background.
Okay. We're kind of getting off topic here for a second. We don't have much time. It's like one question, two questions, three questions left.
Okay, let's get them. Let's get them.
Okay.
Laverne, no, just quickly. Preferences.
What?
Once we realize that it doesn't matter what part is in there, the governor's thing, how many people are, that it's us. It's us.
Yes.
And see, we're deflecting it by preferences for other people, and all, that has nothing. It's us. What are we gonna do? And when I say I'm gonna build a business, I don't care what's going on with other people. I don't care whether the banks are presidents or not. I'm gonna focus on, I'm gonna get from here to here, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. And no, life ain't fair, and we got issues and things like that. But as long as we look at elsewhere, we would never solve these issues. It's us. And really, it starts with the black man being the leader of his family and his community and doing what's right, stopping breaking the laws.
No.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is. You gotta have well, I don't know how you were raised. So those are the type of things, it's us. I want us to focus on us and what we gotta do.
Can we get the next question?
Abby, your question.
My name is Abby, and I live right here in Robbinsdale, actually, and we drive down Broadway a lot. And so my question is, after hearing all this, what do each of you, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time, but what do you each think are the top 2 issues to the Minnesota African American community and that needs to be solved? And then what is 1 or 2 great things, especially about North Minneapolis? I smell the fried chicken every time I go down the street here. It's great. What are some of the great things that North Minneapolis community has to offer Minnesota? If it could be developed, if it could be like marketed, this urban pride thing, going back to what Lacey's or Laverne's doing.
I think you say what the 2 top issues and what I like about North Minneapolis, were those the 2 things that you...
Yeah, like if you're saying like you want to build wealth, but you have to have something to offer that people can come in and buy and partake in. Right. So what is it that North Minneapolis has that that could be developed to create wealth?
Well, the first thing that we have, and the most important thing, and really the only thing we need, are the people and the human capital, of course with the right mindset. And so we can start businesses. We got great ideas. We have talent. So once again, I talked about family and economics. I talked about 4 things, but you asked for 2. And we can't escape the family. Those 2 things go together. So right now, I'm in the process of helping building technology companies, global technology companies that will be relocated to North Minneapolis, that the founders and the founding teams are half black, predominantly, very diverse. So once we start doing that, start giving people in the community ownership in those companies, and let them understand businesses and how businesses work and how to compete in the business world. That's how I see us competing from a financial standpoint, an economical standpoint. But once again, we got to do the family thing. Now, let me just say what I love about North Minneapolis. I'll end where I started off at. It's the people. They're just so misunderstood. There is talent and a desire to work hard. And I want them to know that we don't need handouts. We don't need nonprofit programs. And this is not to criticize anyone, but over the last 10 years, we spent about $60 million on the north side achievement zone or whatever. And with, I'm saying with about $250,000, $250,000, I think we're going to create a multi-million dollars, if not $1 billion technology company. So I talk about, in politics, I talk about return on votes. Are we getting back what we should be getting back, given the importance of our votes? And then in the world of business, I talk about return on investment. And so we need to take those dollars that we're sending over there to the North Side Achievement Zone and take some of those dollars and steer them somewhere else. I understand that there are like 20, in addition to that, that's like $15 to $20 million that's invested in nonprofit every year. So we need to change our outlook and get out here and compete in the global market of business, because America is made for business, whether we want to accept that or not. And until we get out there to compete in that arena, we're going to be sitting around having these conversations from now until infinitum.
Does anybody else want to comment on Abby's question?
Yes. So for me, the top issues are, the first one is production within our community. So economic empowerment and development. The reason why the black community is still behind is because we don't produce anything. Just think, when you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night, all the products and items that you use, how many of them are created by black-owned businesses? Probably almost none. Almost none. And so you have to think, the white community, they own production. And so that they're able to recycle that money. And the money we have, the black community, we have it was a $1 trillion spending power. Well, all that money could be utilized and trapped within our community, but it's not, because we have nothing to trap that money. We're giving that to Asians and to Arabs and to other people building up their communities. And to go back to the previous question, that's another reason why those communities are doing better, because the money that should be in our community and recycled and help to do things to improve our community are going out of the community. So that's one. Two, it's education. It's focusing, getting back black excellence, where we want to excel, that you want to make good grades, that you want to, focus on, instead of focusing on these minor careers, you need to focus on being engineers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, business people, and in terms of businesses, products that people use daily. It's cool that you want to do the cool type of shops that you see within our community, but what we really need are those things that, toothbrushes, toothpaste, toilet paper, those things that people need daily. Those are the things that are going to trap those dollars. So that's the other. So in terms of education, we need to focus on that. And then also community pride. What I like about North Minneapolis, they have the community pride, but we also need good government relationship and policy. See, I believe government policy and the free market work together, because you need to have good policy. Because if you have bad policy, then you can't really build. Because if you let the Democrats in with their socialist mindset, you're not going to be able to build. No, because there won't be any incentive to. But if you are able to do deregulation, allow people, put money in strategic areas in the community, which these opportunity zones is an excellent example of that, you're able to unleash the free market, the creativity, build incubators where people can come up with ideation and think, oh, well, we need to have this, this, and this, and put funding behind that. That's how we're going to be able to get out of this cycle within our community. And so I think North Minneapolis, but Broadway area, it should be like 50th and France. It should be like Grand Avenue. It should be like these other Lindale and Lake, where those are community centers where people have pride. We should have, festivals, which I know we do, but we should make it citywide where people want to come and feel safe and come and put those dollars in the community and come up here on a regular basis. That's how we should be thinking. Those are solutions.
I like what they both said, and one of the things that I look at is education, and I think they should bring the trades back. There should be a way to teach a young man to be an electrician, to be a plumber. He don't have to be a doctor. Ain't nobody telling these kids to go out here and spend all this money and have bills up the yin-yang. When he can go be a plumber, he can go be an electrician, he can go be a tradesman, he can drive a bulldozer. We don't have those things in the black community. So what they need to do is find a way to bring that back. I took small engines when I was in high school. We had small engines, just a vocational wing. So we bring back, just think about it. You put a vocational wing down there in North Minneapolis, and you have those kids going to vocation school, and you teach them how to put together a small engine. You teach them how to put together a computer. You teach them, and then they go out and they get these jobs that's right now, that's literally hiring people off the street and begging people and giving them, my son works in the heating industry. They telling him, we'll give you a bonus if you bring people in. Well, these black kids could have that instead of sitting there thinking that their main goal is to be the top drug dealer on that corner this week. If we can pull those kids, we can start with the kids right now in school. You start with a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grader, and we start teaching them to use their hands, because when you can use your hands, you're going to get a job. You will definitely get a job. So that's what we need to do. One of the things, and I also like what he said when he said Broadway. We need to do something about Broadway. We need to start tearing some buildings down, building some new ones, but yet put some black people in charge down there of things that go on. We can lift this community up. It's just that how are we going to do it? And as far as, everybody, I've noticed we like to throw Democrats in there every single time to get them zingers. Look, North Minneapolis is going to be Democrat for a long time. Let's just call it what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So how do we get the Democrats in here and make them start doing things? You know how you do that?
Withholding vote.
Say that. Yes. Thank you.
Hell no.
Hear what she just said? Because, see, the one thing I'm learning, because I've met with a lot of Democrats, I've met with a lot of Republican senators, right? I've sat down with the table with every single one of them. And that's one thing I've learned. Votes is all they care about. Votes and money.
That's right.
Votes and money. Now, if I go in there and I say, look, you ain't doing your job. You are not doing what you're supposed to do. You got to go. That's why I keep telling people, stop voting for people that look like you. That's not going to do anything for you. No ifs, ands, buts. Exactly. So if they're not doing their job, why am I going to vote for them again?
Now we get to a common ground here. The results.
We are really close to the end of the event here. We still have 2 questions left, and we still really haven't got to the second portion of the show, which is about gun violence.
Let's do it.
We're talking about it's question in.
Yeah, let's get the question out. We can do it.
Which question?
You want to ask your question?
My question is pretty simple. Each one of you, what is your solution to addressing violence, and specifically gun violence, in the black community?
Education. You know what we have not tried? We have not tried to educate people on guns. Watch this here. So you got a 22, 23-year-old girl who's dating a felon. That felon tell her, hey, can you go buy this gun for me? She goes, okay. But she don't realize there's a law called the straw purchase. She goes buy that gun. Now she's on the hook for them books. He commits a crime. Guess who goes to jail?
Both of them.
Exactly. She got 2 kids. Now she's on the hook for 5 years. Why? Because she did not understand the laws. The problem is black people don't know the law in the black community. Period. A lot of so number two. You got these young kids, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. Would you rather for an instructor to teach them how powerful a gun is, or would you rather for his dealer to put a gun in his hands, a 45 that he cannot handle, and he's shooting an automatic 45 that bullets is going? That's what the problem is. People sitting there going, well, why are everybody getting shot up? Because they can't handle the power of a firearm. So if we start teaching these kids, if we really start saying, look, let's take these kids out and teach them how to shoot. Let's take them hunting. Let's show them how powerful these guns are. Let's make them understand that once that bullet leaves that gun, you cannot bring that back. That's what the problem is. We haven't tried that. We've tried everything else. Love up, gun down, whatever they did a couple weeks ago, that to me was totally done backwards.
About 3 people.
Thank you. We have to start educating the black community on guns. We've let the now I'm about to get into y'all now. We've let the Democrats and the pastors of these churches tell us that the guns are the worst thing that ever happened to a black community. Don't you know back in the day there was a gun in everybody's home? Don't you realize how racist these gun bills are that they're throwing out here? Half of the people who are going for these gun bills are these white women that's up in Maple Grove, in Plymouth. You think they have the same problem that a young mother, a single mother out here has? No, they're baking cookies. I'm sitting in front of the House committee, testifying in front of them, and I asked them a simple question. How many of y'all been down there to North Minneapolis? They couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you. Only time Mom's Demand comes into North Minneapolis is when they have a photo shoot they need to take care of. But we are not educating our black men at all, even the ones that shouldn't even have a gun. Even they should be educated. They should be educated. So if they want to cut down on this here violence, then we need to start educating. We've tried everything else, am I right? What haven't we tried? Anybody? What haven't we tried, Mr. Lace?
Well, and I don't want to take up your time, but I think there are short-term solutions and things we can do to help mitigate the situation, but I think ultimately long-term, it's like when we grew up, we had guns in our houses, but we also had intact families. I had my dad there who served me and set examples for me, and we had certain norms that we operated within. And even our friends that we played with, all of us was raised the same way. They didn't have to worry about me going across the street and running into a bad group of kids who like to play with guns. So the short answer is, short term, there are people out there that can connect with these kids. The challenge now, though, is in the old days when I first started it, there was bigger gangs and one leader could have an effect. But they're so fractionalized now and independent. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. But we need somebody to connect with these kids that can respect and listen to. And a lot of it we could do without people in the community like the pastor over here, Reverend McAfee, Spike Ma. They know most of these kids personally. So we need to work with them. But I'm convinced, long term, we have got to rebuild our family and rebuild our community. And we got to set examples. We got to start respecting laws and things like that, to stop making excuses for breaking them. And we got to value our lives. We got to have value for our lives and things and other people. And we got to, and really, the biggest challenge is a lot of things that we got to solve have become culturalized. They become part of our culture. And that's the challenge. Yep. And most of the time when people are looking to solve these issues, they aren't thinking culture. But they don't realize this stuff has seeped into us now. And it took a long time to get here. And there's no short answers. And there's no easy answers. It's going to be hard, people. It's going to take a while to put it back together. And one of the reasons I'm out here is because somebody needs to start saying that. Somebody needs to start saying, look, people, we done broke up our families and things. We got to put these people back together. These are young men. And as a young black male, I needed an older black male who cared about me, who taught me things, who told me what to do and what not to do. I can't imagine how I would have turned out if I didn't have that. And so when you hear and you're watching media and TV and entertainment and everybody shooting up everybody and songs are talking about killing and by 9mm and things like that, and it's cool to kill, it's cool to go to jail, it's not cool to be a student. It's not cool to love and respect the lady that you have your children by and marry your children by. Well, those are the things that we're going to have to deal with. And by the way, Reverend, I think they're all biblical. You and I are going to have a very good conversation too. But these are the things we're going to have to deal with, people. When we talking all this other stuff, we're just talking around the issues. And that's a reason we've been talking like this for decades, and the problem keeps going on. And he mentioned the Democrats are going to be here for decades, and I almost guarantee you if they are, these problems aren't going to get solved. I know people don't see the connection. I see the connection between our supporting Democrats and our mindset.
Yeah.
Until we change that, our automatic renewal, till we change that, that's why I'm out here. Is let's start talking issues and solutions, and like the Reverend said over there, let's stop talking party, let's talk about who's in the White House, let's stop talking all that. Let's talk about what we're gonna do, how difficult it is, how it's not gonna be easy and quick. And let's roll up our sleeve. And one last thing, and another reason I'm out here, I'm willing to look the black man in the face and say, brother, we gotta get our act together. If we get our act together, none of this other stuff we're talking about really is not going to matter. Yeah, it's going to make it more challenging, but let's get our act together. And that's one of my main messages, and I'm done for the day.
Any more comments on the solutions?
I co-sign both. I agree with both.
Mr. Nelson?
For one, I find it always easy for politicians to talk about solutions when they don't have any hands on deck. All hands have to be on deck when it comes to combating violence. Education is absolutely there, but the thing that no one talks about it's a financial issue. It's a financial issue. If you don't, I'm sorry.
A big part of it.
A huge part. You have to incentivize these young men that we keep being Pollyannish about, that we just talk to them and tell them to get your act together. You can't wag your finger at these young men who are felons, who can't get jobs, who can't get housing. You have to create programs and incentivize steps for these young men to have careers now. Because if they're a felon, what career are they destined to do? What can they go do? Now you talk about trades, that's when you talk about you bring programs around here for trades, because felons can work in trades.
That's right.
Versus trying to go, because you can't go get a college education, you can't get a college loan anymore because you're a felon. So politicians have to have all hands on deck, come into these communities and meet with these community organizations that are dealing with this violence every day. I have yet to meet a politician that sits down and has these great soliloquies about what they think should happen and then don't follow up. So politicians never follow up with the money or resources. So we're going to continue talking about this until politicians get more serious about combating violence.
I think that's a good point.
President Trump followed up on all his promises.
This man ain't follow up on, and this is. Let me say this. Let me just say this.
Name one promise he didn't follow up
I'm going to
on.
say this because I'm tired of this man. Before the question gets asked, let me say this because I'm sick of this man being Pollyannish and talking about Trump. Number one, there's only 2 million black folks to date by this administration that has a job. In 3 years, 2 million. This man talked about how the Forgiveness Act. Let's remember, that sat on his desk. That was there on his desk when he came into office. It was not something that this administration said, you know what, by God dog it, black men are having a hard time and I want to help them. That's not something Trump said. He also talked about how the people that hung with him thought they were nice. They thought Donald Sterling was nice too. He got several awards before they found out the true him. The thing about it is this. This be real. He says things that only racist people say. When you tell a person to go back to Africa, that ain't friendly. I've only been told that by a racist or someone that has bigotry in their heart. If you want to quit being called a racist, then you got to quit supporting racists. You got to be willing and adult enough to call out things that are wrong. If you want things to be called out on the Democrat part, you got to say when Trump is wrong. Every person that supports Trump finds absolutely no fault in what Trump does, and they throw up all these bloated numbers and talk about what he does for the economy. Then I tell you what, drive around state to state and look at black communities and tell me who the economy is doing good for.
Well, so to Jamar's point, Unemployment is
justify for it,
lowest
too.
for African Americans that it's been.
2 million
It's
black
low.
folks have been
However-
hired to date by this
however-
administration.
but you know what the problem is? It's because of
2
criminal
million black
records,
folks.
It's because of criminal records, and it's because of culture. A lot of the people within our community are unemployable. However, we don't have the wealth of the white communities, because in the white communities, they can hire and create jobs for their unemployed or unemployable cousins and friends.
Okay.
They can do that.
Okay,
That's why I
no,
talk
no, no,
about
no, no, no,
production. That's why I talk
no,
about
hold
production.
on 1 second. I like what you just said. So if they can do it, but we don't have it, then how are we to?
That's why we focus on production. We focus on economic development, so then we can hire the people in our community that can't get jobs, because people tend to hire people that look like them. That's why having black
That's right.
economic
Mhm.
empowerment
Thank
is
you very
important,
much.
because then we can get hired.
Appreciate
because it shouldn't
that.
be on whites or Asians or
No,
Hispanic
it should-
people to hire
I
our
like
people.
you. I
It
like-
should
I
be
like
on
what you're
us,
saying.
because those are our people.
But we have to have the businesses to
But we
hire
gotta
us.
have the
We have to have the
business to do
capital
that.
to start these
And that's
businesses to
why-
hire them.
that's why I call
But if you let
government
policy,
policy
you're absolutely right. But
Wait a
you
minute,
can't
say
have
that
poli-
again?
Government policy is important.
And you're absolutely
Say that
right.
again?
Politics, they work
No,
together.
because because a few minutes ago we were saying how, we don't need the government to do this, we don't need the government to do that.
I never said
we
that.
almost went to the
He
point.
said
Hold on. We almost went
said
to the
it.
point where I hear this thing all the time. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You have to have the boots. You have to have the boots to do it.
Forget the scraps.
You have to have the
gotta
boots
have
to
the
do it.
boots
To
to
be
do it.
fair, no group in America has ever pulled themselves up by the
Thank you
bootstraps.
very
They
much,
use
brother.
Government.
Let me
They
find.
use
Appreciate you,
government.
man.
I mean, that's
Appreciate
history.
you.
I was a history major. I love history. I love reading that. I mean, that's the fact.
The foreigners that come
I'm sitting there
across, they
saying
use
the same
government.
thing. But that's the thing they love to say.
Well,
We got
I
another-
love
we
to
got another
say
question.
that.
We got one more
We don't
question in the
need
back.
this, and we don't need the government for this, or we don't need. I believe in small government too. Don't
Exactly.
get me
Government
wrong.
should play a small
But
role in,
but
there's a
the
role,
government is there for
That's
a
right.
reason.
There's a role.
It's
Absolutely.
not just so we can just
Absolutely.
sit back and
Absolutely.
say the things that we say. Sometimes
That's right.
it's just anyway.
Let me clear.
What's-
My
what's
only
the-
thing is, and I mean this,
I'm
my whole
sure.
life, it doesn't matter to me what the government policy is per se.
God.
And I know it's important, but I'm
God.
saying my mindset is, I set out to accomplish something. If I don't accomplish it, I'm not going to blame government. I'm not going to blame anybody else.
Well, in your case, you can blame bad
no,
campaigning.
but
The rest of us deal with reality.
Lacey, no, I'm not
The
saying
rest of us
blame.
deal with-
I'm not saying
You
blame
blame government because you
or
don't
look
live,
at it.
because you like to live, again, you come up with these Pollyannish ass attitude. You have this attitude that you have that every black man is just we wag his finger at him and he's gonna pick himself up by bootstraps.
No,
when
that's
you,
not-
yes,
that's
that,
what
you
you
sat here and said it. You sat here and said this. You sat here and said
But
it.
if you look
I've
back
never
during
said
Jim
used to-
Crow,
You
and
sat here and
segregation,
said it.
I never
when those
used to
policies were
phrase
in
pull
effect,
yourself
that's
up by the
stifled.
bootstrap. I don't
You don't have to.
That's
It's the
our
words that
Thank
you
you.
use.
Say that
again.
No,
That's our policy.
because it's what comes out of your mouth.
No.
It's what comes out of your mouth. The things that you say.
Okay,
See,
hold on,
you
hold
like
on,
to
hold
talk
on,
down to black folks.
No, let me just clarify.
I don't want to hear.
something.
Let the question
No,
go.
let me clarify something.
Let the question go, please.
No.
I've heard enough.
What? That's the way he's interpreted. What I'm saying.
Yes, because it's what you said.
No, just
It's what you said.
Be
Hold on, let him
respectful and let me finish what I'm
Please,
saying.
I'm had enough though.
What I'm saying is, you can do it, no matter what. I'm actually saying you got the talents and the skills.
That's
to
that
do it.
bootstrap again. There's that boot.
Are
You
denying
can do
that
it no matter who you
saying
are.
You disagree that we have.
Hell yeah, I disagree with you. Evidently, don't you hear me say? That's what I've been saying for the last hour. I do, but there are barriers and roadblocks that you continue to purposely, because you're being political, ignore. That you and I have had. It's crazy though, because you and I have had one-on-one conversations about this without the cameras, without everybody being around, and this is not what you said. But I understand you've been political because you want to won.
Let's go ahead, last
But let's be real,
We only
homie.
have about.
Be real,
We only
homie.
have 10 minutes left.
Jesus Louise. Negro's crazy.
I have one more person been waiting 25 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, sorry.
Let's
Sorry
get
about
it.
that.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Hey, your name is.
Grant Nichols, former school board member of Columbia Heights. All right. It's like, yeah, it sounds like a married couple up there. I have a question about back in the day in 2000, how the school changed, like Minneapolis public schools, the NAACP sued Minneapolis.
Yeah.
They changed it, and they gave back control for more state control, and that's pretty much why we have NDE and all the other kind of things that go in there. And I think they let kids, the Choice of Yours program
Yeah.
in Minneapolis, all going to different school districts and integration. And I'm kind of wondering why that 90% of the money that comes from the state, it gives them more control, so it's hard for communities to control each school district. You know, it used to be back in the day, like when me and Laverne were growing up, you know, I went to Roosevelt, I went to Heights, and we, you know, like, communities were proud back then. You know, North had a very proud community. You know, Philadelphia and the boys had been great in one state. Henry had a great basketball team. South was strong. And then now you see communities kind of like, you know, you know, they're fractured. You know, kids going everywhere. They're not growing up together. They're not building lifelong friendships. You know, it's one of the things that we talked about. You know, I brought to the school board all the time. You know, like, you know, we have kids coming here all the time. We have like 30% of the kids coming from Minneapolis, but not one parent coming, not one participant.
When we moved over in the 90s, when we moved over to North Minneapolis, I lived at 2927 North 3rd Street. And I had an opportunity to pull my kids out of Hopkins and have them go to North Minneapolis. So I went over there and I sat through a couple of the classes. I watched how the kids walked down the hallway. I watched a lot of interactions with the kids. And taking in consideration, this is right before Murderapolis was about to hit. And I saw something that I'm looking at it going, this isn't what I want my kids to be a part of. I'm just saying what my wife and I felt. Not only that, but they built a brand new school right up the hill on 26th from my house. Brand new one. I could have had my kids going to that school. But there's no way in the world I was going to put my kids through the trauma that I've watched in that neighborhood. So my wife and I drove my kids every single day from North Minneapolis to Hopkins to go to school. Because I wanted them to get a good education without their minds being all eradicated throughout the day, with all the crap that I saw in North Minneapolis and the high school. So I was willing to do that. It took a lot of gas, money, time, and everything. But I had to get my kids a fair shot in this world. And that, I felt, was the way I was going to do it, was to take my kids out of North Minneapolis over to Hopkins, where they got a good education, they graduated, they did everything, and they're successful today. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. There was no doubt in my mind what I was going to do, because the kids wasn't even serious.
Can I say this, Tim? That sometimes it's that attitude, though, of taking people out of the community that thinking that they can only get educated, a good education out of the community, is what's wrong too. It's what's wrong too, because we have to demand in our community that we get the best schools, that we get the best educators in our.
But you don't have other parents doing that, man.
No,
I'm gonna be the only parent up there
I've been a dean of
fighting.
students, so that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Okay, go for it.
If you have that attitude that my kids can only get educated in Hopkins and Robbinsdale and all of that, then that's the problem. Then you're only going to get those dilapidated schools. You're only going to get those first-year teachers that come and don't care, that don't know the culture, don't care about the students, because we don't care. You've got to demand that our children are educated properly, the right way, because everything you hear about public schools, you hear bad things about it. You hear bad things about public schools. There are still lots of great things that go on in public schools. You can get a great education out of public schools.
And I want to add.
I haven't finished though, bro. Excuse me. Excuse me. The problem also lies in, listen, we're not honest about who educates our kids. Again, black communities tend to get those teachers that are in their 25th year, their 30th year of teaching, and they don't know culture students. So you're getting younger. The students aren't getting older, they're getting younger. So when we think that the culture of these young students doesn't matter, you can bring any teacher in there. I'm not saying that you have to educate black students by black teachers. No, I used to. I honestly did. Until I got inside of an education center and realized that ain't true. You don't need a black face to educate your black student. You need black individuals in the building. You absolutely do. Students of color need to see people like them in the building. But you don't need to. So now I said that my child can only graduate and be smart because if he has a black teacher. No, we can't have that mentality either. But if we have that mentality that they can only be educated properly if we take them out of our community.
No, I didn't say they. I didn't say that. What I said is what I saw in that school system and the way that the school system was ran. Now, again, if I would have went forward to go after that, I guarantee you, more than likely, just like now, wait a minute, wasn't they about to close North Dow?
You know why?
They was gonna close North Dow.
But do you know why?
Help me out.
Do you know why? Because again, the government. Here's the other thing. Let me speak as a Democrat. There's sometimes Democrats do lose their damn heads because they get too progressive. I'm just a proud, unapologetic black Democrat. You can label me liberal and like he does all that stuff. I'm just a Democrat. Sometimes they get too progressive, and it becomes it starts hurting the community too as well, because you get these politicians, let's be real, that aren't black. They aren't black. City council aren't filled with black people making decisions for black people. Black folks, we have our own solutions. We can only help ourselves, but we tend to let others come in and help. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, back when I went.
Can I say one thing about the North?
Sure, go ahead, Lee.
Well, I was just the exact opposite. I wanted my children to attend North High School, and because I knew that they were going to perform at North High School.
Absolutely.
And my oldest son was here just now today. Graduated from North High School, I think .1 behind being valedictorian, got a free ride to the University of Minnesota, and got a free scholarship and stipend to Ivy League school, Brown University, got his master's from Brown, and he's successful out in Hollywood. So I've always wanted them to have that inner city experience plus the education. The key to education, I think, is it's the involvement of the parents, and the parents insisting on it, putting a value on it.
Absolutely.
It's not so much as the school building you go to. Now, the schools and the teachers make a difference, but I guarantee you, I don't care what school my kids went to, they were going to learn, and they were going to be successful. And I wanted them to go to inner city schools because I'm just a diehard North Minneapolitan, I guess. And so,
But that's good though. Now, and you had all your kids went to public school.
yeah, they'll always go to public
So
school.
he's an example. And I went to Roosevelt. You know, I don't know. He went to some yuppie school.
Boy, you know, you something else.
Okay. So since I.
Yeah. Just go ahead and speak. Though.
When the red light pops up, it's on the grant.
Of course.
Okay. All right. So one of the things when you get elected to the school board, you have to go through a thing called MSBA. It's called Minnesota School Board Association. It's not part of the state. They don't run it. It's something that's put on what I saw, it's put on by administration and superintendents and ex-school board members to pretty much, you have to go through phase training that pretty much teaches school board members how to be school board members, which I think is kind of ridiculous since it should be people that are part of the community. Yep. Well, going into the school board, you find out real quick that administrators run the school and not the school board members, which should be the opposite. And then you wonder why community people aren't part of the, schools and stuff. Well, when the school board's not listening to them and they're just listening to the administration and the state controls the administration, well, you're not going to have a voice now, are you? So I think getting back to the people and the communities in general is like what lost. I don't blame you, Christopher, for taking your kids and going to Hopkins. I do agree with Jamar too, absolutely, that fighting for your community should be the best thing. But it's hard to do that when state control is dictating stuff. And,
politics has been a big thing about the reason why inner city schools are screwed up.
And it should be like having people sit down at the table and discussing what's best of that, for education, If you're gonna but you look at proficiency rates with state testing scores and stuff like that, they haven't changed since 2000. Kids are not getting educated. It doesn't matter where they go. Kids in Columbia Heights, doesn't matter in Hopkins, it doesn't matter where they're going. They're finding out that more kids are being better educated when parents participate with them. Right. So when you have parent involvement, Christopher, I'm sure that you were involved parent in Hopkins, right? With your kid, and that's probably what made your kid successful.
Absolutely.
Even though, and you don't want to go to a different school, but we can't have kids not growing up with one another, and becoming lifelong friends, and that's the biggest thing where we're losing our community pride, and you know, it's sad to see, like, you know, that happening in a lot of communities where everybody's fighting. You go to Columbia Heights and people, and I was one of the parents, you know, my kid open enrolled himself to Mounds U after 8th grade, you know, because he didn't want to go to school because he was a minority white kid with 70%, you know, different ethnics. And that's, you know, it's hard for people. It should be a mix where people get along and want to go together and just, you know, be part of, you know, going to a school district and becoming friends. And that's about growing up together, you know.
Let me just chime in. So the whole thing about our education system, the problem is with the public, we think it should be doing one thing, but it's not designed to do that thing that we think it should be designed for. It's actually there to create workers. And I believe it was John D. Rockefeller, the first one who, you know, that's what he put a lot of money behind that whole system, saying we need good workers because you need them for your factories, you know. And so we're not teaching kids how to think, how to process information, how to read, write, do math. We're not focusing on any of that, and that's part of the problem. And so yes, parental involvement is key, but tying it back to the black community, you know, you're as a parent, one of your jobs with your kids is to make sure that they have a great quality education, be successful, to be that next generation to move the family forward, and therefore the family, that small building block to the larger community that then moves the whole community forward. So, you know, if you need to take your kids out and send them to a good place, that's you know, that's great. But, you know, that's why I say policy is important. And I think we need to abolish the Department of Education. It needs to be more local control. That's what we need. We need to, that's what we need to focus on, because we know what's best for our kids and what they need, working with, you know, businesses, entrepreneurs, to see what are those skills and things that are needed. Even education, people are talking about, you know, colleges with high student debt. You know, people are going and doing majors that aren't really going to benefit them. People need to focus on what are important, you know, industries and fields, you know, so that I can know what I should be majoring in. And math, you know, math is a key area that people should be focusing on with their kids. If you have kids now in school, math, because that opens up unlimited possibilities. Because if you just focus on more narrow areas, you're limited. And so that's part of the problem also out there. But I think, you know, moving to other communities, if you need to do that, yes, but you shouldn't have to. And that's why, you know, I had this conversation actually out in Massachusetts. I go out there for vacation every year, and with this lady, and she brought up busing. And I said, well, you know, I don't agree with busing. I think you shouldn't have to move to another community to be able to learn. You should be able to create all good schools, but that's what it's been designed. And so that's why I always go back to good policy. Good policy. If you have good policy, then you wouldn't have all these problems that we've been having in the community.
I think in education, it's like a lot of other issues. We're chasing all the wrong things. And just an example of parent involvement. It's not going to happen, people, in a lot of these families. We're still going to have to figure out how to educate these people and the children. And so, once again, and this is why I lose, it's just a mindset. If I set out to do something, I'm going to get it done. No excuses, whether the parents are involved or not, whatever the class size is, we're going to get this done. When I was growing up, if the parents showed up at the school, that meant you were in trouble. Because the teachers was there. They cared, I know it was.
Was the principal when you went to school?
Yeah, that's good. But we learn. And maybe you can learn something from Methuselah. You know, if you listen to Methuselah, you might learn something. But here's the thing. There's certain fundamentals that we had. It was that the teachers' relationship to the students and how they looked at the students. It was the discipline. We had men in our schools. They were not afraid of these young black kids. I've seen Coach Will go up in the stands and take a gun from one of the kids.
Were they as violent as they are now, though?
Well, they were getting there.
Oh, stop.
They were getting there.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
These kids these days,
if you think it's a violence thing.
These are different kids,
Look. If you think it's a violence thing and the kids being violent, you aren't going to solve it. It really depends upon us and our relationship to these children. True. Once again, the long-term solution to all these issues we're talking about, putting the family back together, education, economics, some type of spiritual base. See, we can keep taking all these issues individually and come up with all these fancy solutions and try to dissect them apart until we get to the root causes of all of these issues. I mean, you know. And once again, until you put, if I had to say one thing, you got to put the family back together in some kind of way. No matter how hard it is, no matter how tough it is, no matter how many.
How do you propose and to put the black family back together again? Is that
It's getting there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I talked about it.
You
You've
come
seen
up
it.
with these great mantras, but no action behind it.
I will have action behind it.
I'm sure.
But it's better than a bad mantra.
Well, it's
a
better-
good mantra with no action is better
Well,
than a bad mantra.
I'm gonna say this.
Bluff green is nothing, though.
Hold on, I'm gonna say this here. I just want to thank you guys for being here, hanging out with me. It's been a joy. Again, and I want to say it. I said it before. No disrespect. I respect each and every one of you guys up here. I'll sit down and have coffee with you any day of the week. Hang out with you any day of the week. So I appreciate you. I appreciate this young man right here for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to do this.
Is my mic working?
Yeah, your mic.
All right. That's a good segue into the conclusion of this. Thank my panelists for coming and being part of the discussion today. Thanks for the audience for showing up today. The reason why I wanted to have this discussion is for a lot of reasons. One, if we're going to solve the issues that plague our community, I've heard it 3 or 4 times said here tonight on the panel, we have to work together.
Correct.
So I brought these brothers in here today so we can start the process of working together to solve the problems that plague our community. Hopefully it was an entertaining conversation, a good conversation.
Oh, that it was.
Hopefully enough where we can do another one of these and continue the discussion. But for now, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming, and make sure you buy an Urban Pride t-shirt. All right?
Give Laverne a round of applause.
Thank you.